Hello, and welcome to Breath of Fresh Ed, a podcast with purpose focused on education topics for today, tomorrow, and always, with Kristen,
Jen,
and Lauren.
Thanks for joining us on episode 4, Oxygen Mask Rule Part 2. Now that you've got your mask on, let's discuss and reflect on doing the same for others. How might you help others put on their oxygen mask? So, what have you guys been doing to help others?
I think one thing, and this came up at one of our CPTs last week. One of the instructional coaches brought a community builder to the group, and it made me think of, vulnerability. And that was actually the name of the poem. It's called Vulnerability by David White. And I think it was actually on the On Being podcast at some point. But what it talks about is if we ourselves are not being vulnerable in our everyday work and what we do, how are we supposed to, model that for others and show that we are real human beings and that we ourselves are willing to grow? So I think when we ourselves are vulnerable, it really helps others do the same, and it opens them up for growth and learning, especially during this time.
for sure.
Yeah. I think in that conversation, I mentioned like that last line, the last part of the last line was, never wanting to, if we never want to risk ourselves, we never walk fully through the door. And that resonated with me because I just kept thinking, like, so many times have I tried to be like this person who's put together and tried to like have it, appear something that it's not. And I just feel like that's just not real life, and it's not authentic. And I feel like, since then I've really tried to be a little bit more vulnerable and allow myself to do so. And I feel like I've experienced life more fully, if that makes sense.
And it's not easy.
No.
A lot of times we feel like we have to know everything, especially when it's something that has to do with what we do on a daily basis with our jobs.
And that's what I was gonna piggyback off of is I feel like I've said a lot more recently. Like, I don't know, but I'm gonna we'll find out for you, and don't waste your time. You're gonna plan the lessons and you're gonna use the technology tool or whatever to enhance your instruction. Let me find out this question for you. And usually I go to Priestley, and then she'll find out the
and I go to you guys.
I know. Yeah. So it's kind of a circle, but it's taking the weight and the time, because time's so, I know all we have is time right now, but time is so precious too. And kind of taking that off their shoulders has been.
I guess it was a couple weeks ago, I facilitated a virtual professional learning session, and I asked for feedback at the end. And one of the pieces of feedback stood out to me, and it was something along the lines of, I really appreciated Kristen being open with not knowing the answer, but also being okay with trying to figure it out while we were all there. And that was like one of those moments where I was trying to be vulnerable because I don't know everything. And as instructional coaches, we're not always the expert, and we're not supposed to be the expert. And I think that it's, the more we can communicate that and model that, the better, the more people feel at ease when working with us.
And that's when you're not a first year teacher anymore.
Mm-hmm. Which is what everyone feels like right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Kristen mentioned the targeted professional learning. And so in the beginning of when all of this started, we kind of Priestley put together like a template. And it kind of talked about how like different professional learning topics that we thought that people would be interested in. And first of all, I think it was a struggle for me personally to kind of put together like a virtual professional learning, because then it felt like a quick on the spot training. It felt different. So that's definitely evolved. And the first one, Google 101, none of my technology worked. So it was just such a frightening experience. But everybody was so, I guess, open to Kristen's point earlier and just accepting. And they're still coming back, 7 weeks later?
And nothing, is perfect. We're kind of like, we're getting a little bit out of it now, but like everything at the beginning was such an emergency state. So no, nothing was perfect. Nothing was like had a long-term, end to it. It was just, let's get everybody where they need to be right now so that, we can keep the learning and teaching going during this time. So yeah, even though it wasn't perfect, we're still taking care of people with targeted professional learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did that one mindfulness week one. I think it was probably right around when we were all kind of going through our biggest struggle of a week kind of
Our
thing. I
eyes
think
of
we'd
the
all
storm.
hit our eyes of the storm. It was kind of that. And so we put together our mindfulness week professional learning, and that was just relaxing to facilitate those. And the people that attended, I haven't touched base with many of them again yet, but some of them seem to really like the strategies, or at least it was a 30 minutes or an hour out of their day where they kind of can relax.
Well, and that's like when it stemmed, like that was the first week of the slow flow yoga, and that had such positive response that now it's offered once a week for staff, which I think is good. I think that it's good that that we find that it's important. It's just as important to take care of the teachers as well as the students, and that we have to recognize that we have to take care of ourselves and then we take care of others. And I think that's just one way that they communicate that they're taking care of us.
And we're definitely finding out through a lot of this, like what things we do want to keep long term. And I think something like yoga, people find someone in your district or in your workplace that's yoga certified or some kind of class certified, because it's really a win for everybody.
Well, the targeted professional learning has spurred a lot of risk taking in the virtual classrooms too. The teachers that I've worked with have been like very open to trying new things right away. Jamboard being one of them. I remember researching and looking into Jamboard, and then all of a sudden, teachers like, "Oh, I'll try it," and it didn't work, and there were some flukes, and then we worked through those, and then now it's incredible, and it's a great student collaboration tool in the virtual classroom. And I just think that like teachers are embracing risks because, and like we're just offering a whole slew or variety of tools, and then they're just really embracing those risks.
We've also been hosting office hours. So there's some people that aren't comfortable in like a whole group setting because they don't really know what to ask. They're not 100% sure, or they just want that one-on-one, which is so kind of important right now to kind of have that connection. And so, the, how we have our IT member, our, instructional technology kind of professional learning person in our building, they're hosting Google drop-in sessions where there's always at least 3 or 4 people. She's offering them twice a week. We're doing our own instructional coach kind of office hour. So I think the different formats too are probably kind of helping people feel comfortable and vulnerable in different kind of times.
It's differentiated.
Yeah.
Not to throw that buzzword out there.
I know, right? But it is. It's on demand. It's personalized because it is all choice. And we've evolved our topics based on what we're hearing in our buildings. And then some of us are taking it to the building and doing it specific for the building, and then also duplicating it for the district. So there is consistency there too.
And that definitely just attributes to keeping the normalcy and making sure people are still supported, even though we're not near each other. Being personable and being real. I think that, the office hours and, jumping on Google Meet or Zoom with teachers when they're trying to figure something out, just helps everyone be in a better place through this because it is very stressful.
It definitely is. I mean, we've kept our coaches planning time, which has been helpful. And I think that that's one way that we kind of take care of each other too. So in that time, we can kind of just put stuff on agenda. So if it's not time sensitive, we can kind of put that there. We can support each other. That's a normal part of our routine. And so we kind of, especially like when we do our rose and thorn or grows and glows at the end, it's very helpful.
Pains and gains, whatever
Pains
it
and
is
gains.
now.
I know, we've changed it so many times. Evolved.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and so that normalcy I think is so important too. Like all those little, like, even the common planning time with teams, like we've kept that going each week. And I think that the normalcy of that has helped people kind of feel that there is some routine in this chaos. And it's been chaos. I mean, let's be real. Like it hasn't been easy. And anybody who says it's easy, it's kind of like Instagram and like what you think life looks like in that person's life, and what it really is like a hot mess because they've shoved everything in closets and made their house look clean or appear to look clean or whatever. I really think that this, and it's okay to admit that it's chaos, and it's okay to lean in and lean on people because we're kind of here to help, now that we've taken care of ourselves too.
In order to create a breath of fresh air in others, what are your tips for nurturing their physical, emotional, and mental health? Share your ideas with us on breathoffreshed.com or use the hashtag breathoffreshed.